Moving on to our last topic, which is, and you had mentioned it, is the net situation with Kyrie.
Hmm.
Now, I have a little theory that I've been brewing up. I've been thinking about this, and although everyone's been saying, "Oh, the Nets are at 500," they're in the play-in, they're not that good anymore. Whatever, they're washed, and all this stuff. I think if the New York City mandate, I mean, I believe if I were a betting person, which I'm not because I'm only 19, but if I was, I would think that the mandate's going to go away. But if it doesn't, I think, in my opinion, this is kind of a hot take, but I'm going to explain it. I think that the Nets are in the best possible situation that they can be in. Why is that? Because if they win out in the play-in tournament, they are the seventh or eighth seed and they get one extra game with Kyrie versus if they weren't in the play-in tournament, they don't. So that's my opinion. I think that it actually works out for them. But what do you think about that?
No, I hear you, and it makes sense. Like, obviously, they're a better team with Kyrie. So, in any situation where they're playing less in Brooklyn under these current circumstances, the better. But it's wild. I mean, the guy was at Sunday's Knicks Nets game on courtside, unmasked.
Yeah.
So why can't he play?
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
There's no common sense, and I can tell you one thing: as a person, as a New Yorker, New York is a baseball town. We are big baseball fans. That's our number one sport out there. And there was just information revealed today that the same rules are going to apply to the Mets and to the Yankees players who are unvaccinated, even though they're outside. So now they're starting to tap into the New York sports fans' blood, because before it was like, first of all, most New Yorkers are
Our
Knicks
Knicks fan.
fans
Yeah.
and simultaneously Nets haters. So we were like, oh, this is actually kind of funny that he can't play. Like, we all kind of think of it as a joke. But now that it's affecting our other sports teams, the Mets and the Yankees, it's going to tap into us. And I've already heard that some members from those two organizations are working with the city to figure a situation out. And I think ultimately it's going to result in the entire mandate being lifted. And I think Kyrie is going to be allowed to play soon. Before the playoffs, though, I don't know. And that might mean they're in the play-in game. But, these things take time. And I don't think it's going to just happen like that tomorrow. But, yeah, obviously they're not the same without him. They obviously need him. And without him, there's no way they're beating Philly, Boston, any of those, Milwaukee, forget it, in a playoff series.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely the X factor. But I actually thought that this was interesting when I was watching the game. Could you imagine being on the Nets? You're one of Kyrie's teammates and you see him. He's not even with the players. He's off totally to the side, just sitting there. And you're like, man, how could we possibly be successful when our guy can't even be with us half the time?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just something that if the player in me would think that that's nuts that he has to sit off to the side like that. Yeah, he's with us. I mean, he's in the arena, he's chilling, he's clapping, he's having a good time, but he can't be with us. And that's something that I thought was really interesting. And I think that if they do lift, I mean, it's all going to come down to politics really for them. I mean, if they get Kyrie, I think that they make a big run. If they don't have Kyrie, I think that they're probably going to be out in the first round. I mean, Durant can play, he can't play 45 minutes a game. Like, he just can't do that. He's going to get tired and they have nobody else to lean on. So these politicians, I mean, Eric Adams, come on, man. You got a lot of pressure on you right now, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
And he was the borough city president of Brooklyn prior to becoming the mayor of New York City. So, I mean, he says he's a Nets fan, but, I'm not asking, if this was a Knicks situation and it was a player on the Knicks, I'd be upset, but I'd also understand not giving a special exemption just to a professional athlete while real working people are losing their jobs or can't work because they're not vaccinated. So I'm not asking for that, but there's no common sense to these things anymore. The fact he could be in Barclays Center courtside, no mask, but can't play is ridiculous. And then the Nets actually got fined $50,000 because he went into the locker room after that game. So the Nets ended up getting fined for that on Sunday as well. So there's no common sense to it anymore. So even though I don't like Kyrie, they need to get rid of this whole mandate, and or at least make something that's a little more logical than how it's currently constructed.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's tough. That's something that, Andrew Wiggins had to deal with. Like, 1 week he's practicing with us, and then we're being told in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, he can't practice with us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's just a tough situation, but I guess it's just the way it is. So we'll see how the Nets can come back. Durant's playing unbelievable, but they definitely do need Kyrie. I mean, you drop 50 points after not playing a couple days. The dude's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna wrap it up here. Thank you for watching this episode of the East Coast West Coast podcast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow our social medias down below.